live thing pops up, I'm trying to, in case,
I'll,
he.
it says off air at the moment, so I assume says it says live. I'll just say, all right, go. So I'll just give him another. There we go. All right, go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 115 of Fans of Power. I'm Joe Amato, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Tyler T-Rex Baker. What's going on, T-Rex?
Just ready to. Hell, I got nothing. I'm doing all right. Ready to have another fun episode, and yeah, I guess we're aware that the Royal Rumble is going on while we're recording this, but I don't watch current wrestling, and Joe does, but I don't think Joe keeps up with a lot of the pay-per-views and stuff like that live. Correct, Joe?
Well, I was actually watching some of that before I got on here, but I was like, I'll catch the rest later. So I was like, yeah, I'm sure a lot of the people that normally would watch us live are probably watching the Royal Rumble, which, hey, I can understand. They can still catch us on a rerun, but we do have JSP in the chat room. So thank you, JSP, for joining us. It's always great to have you here. So,
So we appreciate you um, joining us, regardless of, I don't know. I think, are people even excited at who could win the Rumble? I mean, or
well,
is everyone more fixated on the surprise guest? Which, I mean, I still like to watch on YouTube the surprise entrance, which is be my only interest in watching it, because they're probably just going to push somebody who doesn't deserve a push.
That's it. Well, that's the thing with me. I actually like seeing who's going to be the surprise entrance, and so there was, like maybe there was a couple. I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil for people who haven't seen it, but I was looking forward to the women Royal Rumble because it's the first time they had it, so I wanted to see. But I did. I also want to say hello to Adam Gabbert. He's in the chat room, so thank you for joining us, Adam. And V Dub's here. How's it going, V Dub? We always appreciate you having you here too. So. But I was trying to think of any recent thing or topical things that was going on as for any releases or news or something, and nothing popped to mind. I just wanted to mention one cool thing. Like I put a post on my main Facebook page, and I said, what are your top 3 toy lines of all time? And that could be from vintage Masters to classics, Transformers from the past, anything. And a lot of people, of course, were picking Masters of the Universe, and they would just say it all in general. But not many people were saying the one that I love. I love Sectars. That was probably next. Yeah, I had to say it. Next to Masters of the Universe, Sectars is probably just damn. I love that line. It was just so detailed, ahead of its time, articulation wise. But there's a Kickstarter thing that was going on, and it finally just started today. It's from Zika Toys. I think Zika, Zica. I want to make sure I'm saying that right. And they just started their Kickstarter campaign for General Spydrax and Prince Dargon. So they're up right now, and you can back the Kickstarter program for, to have some new Sectar figures. They're in a different scale. I was like, it's cool as hell. It's the only time we're ever going to see Sectars come back. I mean, I'd love to see them come back to the stores, but, actually come back to stores. But hell, this is pretty cool. They have 2 little figures. I didn't know if you knew about it or even cared about Sectars much, but I was like, I had to plug that because they look cool as hell.
No, I like Sectars. I like Prince Dagon and Spydrax and the whole action figure line, the Hive and everything. And no, there's no way in hell I would ever believe that Sectars would ever come back to toy stores. But given that it was such a smaller or a less appreciated '80s toy line, it's certainly remembered fondly by people who are fans of '80s toys, but it's certainly not celebrated. God, nowhere near as much as, I mean, even Silverhawks, I think, has a.
Oh yeah, so Silverhawks has.
And of course, I hold Silverhawks in high regard. I'm saying Silverhawks would probably be considered lower on the totem pole of flagship '80s toy lines, and Sectars is even below that. But it's, but hell, in my opinion, I hold so many of them on the same level.
Oh sure.
I have Bionic 6 up on a high level. I got Brave Star. I got the Visionaries and Supernaturals, and Sectars would be up there too, just because it was a damn cool looking toy line.
Oh, I mean, most definitely. I first wanted to say too, in the chat room, SSJ Mitz, he was like, "Where's Nathan Kennedy?" And he was like, "Oops, he just realized that's the wrong podcast." He was thinking of our Beyond Retro.
No, well, for people who, just in case I guess we might as well use this time to do that. We were going to record Beyond Retro today at a different time because Nathan's going to try and record it for us, so we can kind of loosen up Doug's time. And Nathan came down with something yesterday. Don't know what it is, people are getting sick like crazy in my area. Nathan's in the same town, so
It's
he's
moving
probably
along. Yeah.
yeah. So he and I don't blame him trying to test record and get a full episode done of a podcast. Not a whole lot of fun when you're really sick. So
Yeah,
we
no.
just he's just resting. So we'll aim for next weekend at some point to get Beyond Retro up and running again. But
Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely keep you posted about the new day and time or however it works. So yeah. So
well, not really speaking of, but we need to address that our buddy Andy Usey, had declared that I had gotten a fact wrong about who to be one of the people to be pissed off at the Toys That Made Us, and I had to blame
that's my fault.
Otto
Yeah,
for
that's my fault.
me.
Yep.
That it wasn't the not funny Patton Oswalt, but someone by the name of Donald Ian Black, which I don't know if he's any related to the comedian Michael Ian Black by chance, but probably so. But that Joe said it was Patton Oswalt, so here I
Hey.
was, recorded saying, "Oh, it's Patton Oswalt, douchebag, he's not funny."
That's my bad. Sorry. They all sound alike, so they sounded similar. So yeah, Andy, that's all on me. You ain't gotta blame Tyler. I thought it was Patton, so hey, at least I learned something new every day. It wasn't Patton that did
I correct myself. If I am wrong, I want to use a public platform to correct myself. I'm not hiding behind my keyboard or phone or whatever. I want to correct and apologize for my mistake. I point the finger at Joe, but I did say it, and I apologize to Patton Oswalt. I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah. Oh, well, I pointed the finger at myself. So, yeah, that was my bad. So, and at least, yeah, I can hide behind a mask. And Adam in the chat room, he said, Joe Model, you're amazing. See, Tyler? See, somebody thinks I'm all right. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate that, man. Oh, yeah.
Why does he say you're amazing? He's just saying it?
I don't know, but he said Mario shirt sweet. Yeah, see, this is the one. This is kicking it old school right there. Yeah, that's a pretty cool shirt. So yeah, there. So we got that little rambling out of the way. Now I wanted to say one thing. I had a message. First, I want to acknowledge we have a new listener, and he's a super fan of Masters Universe, and his name is Ryan Heath. So Ryan, thank you for contacting me and letting me know about what you think about the show and everything. So appreciate it. Tyler does too. So it's great having you as a new listener. We always love having new fans and, well, of course, passionate Masters Universe fans that get into it. So it's great. Thank you. And this is a question Vaughn Eric Ratliff brought up. And I'm going to say I actually don't know the answer. I don't know if it's ever been said. I guess I'll give my opinion. Tyler can give his because I don't know if it's been said. But Vaughn said, was there ever an explanation in the 2000X MYP era of Masters of the Universe of why the Iron Cross was taken away and replaced with that distorted, in the cartoon, looked like an H/asterisk, but especially on the action figure, it looked like an asterisk symbol. And he was like, Joe, he's like, was there an explanation? Now, I'll give you my thought, and then Tyler, he might have the answer. I'm just going to give you my thought. There's two things. One, I didn't know if they wanted to avoid the whole Iron Cross controversy, get worried if they thought that would, cause some issues or, get people to get upset and start talking about the Iron Cross and maybe things behind that. I mean, just, things happen. Or if they just wanted to give He-Man a new identifiable symbol. Because here's the thing. If you think about the old vintage line, all the figures past the original He-Man figure, when you got Battle Armor, when you got Thunder Punch, and when you got Flying Fists, he had an H. It was like a new H. It even was used on the Dragon Walker. A lot of merchandise and some of the publications you've seen this new H. And of course, even in the movie, there was no H. It was a completely different symbol in the movie too. But what I mean is, I wonder if they were even back then going for, this is He-Man's H, if that would have been something permanent as a new staple. So back then it looked like they were going in a new direction. MYP they did, but as for why they did it, I don't know. And I'll pass it to Tyler if maybe they did explain why it was changed.
I want to say I thought there was an article in Toy Fair when the 2000X line has been launched, and they talked to the Four Horsemen about redesigning the Power Sword and everything. And I don't think. I mean, obviously they released the Iron Cross with the original He-Man figure in the 2000X line, and then with the newer logo on the chest. So they obviously weren't afraid to do it, with the toys. The Iron Cross wasn't featured on any other action figure other than that, I don't think.
They stuck it on his belt a lot, I noticed. I think they popped it on his belt. You could find it. And
I think that was their way of saying, we're going to honor the original design, but probably so. I think people get up in arms when they see the Iron Cross, because of the Nazi Party and all that stuff. So with Germany and everything, which, I mean, come on, let's. I think it's safe to say He-Man is not associated with Nazi Germany of that time or anything to do with Master of the Universe. I think it looks cool on the figure. And I don't automatically think that when I see an Iron Cross anyway. I just don't. I think I'm so far removed in not thinking overly PC about that kind of stuff. But I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Plus, if they weren't going to put it in the cartoon, they need to come up with a new emblem on his chest, which is what you see in the cartoon and the various other variants and stuff like that too. So I get it. It's a safety thing. You don't want to piss off parents and people who get up and live to point out people's politically incorrectness, so to speak. So, as far as I know, I'm sure that was pretty much there. It probably was. It's probably not as in depth as we're thinking it probably would be. It's strictly just avoiding controversial. Let's just come up with a new, which was not. It wasn't the best looking logo. When you see the HM amalgam like Battle Armor and Flying Fist and Thunder Punch. Why wouldn't they have gone with that HM, look, where you got H that has an M kind of built into it? I don't know why they just didn't decide to go with that, but
yeah, that was genius to me. First, I wanted to say hello to Josh Hale. Josh Hale in the chat room. Thank you for joining us as well. But no, I mean, you're right. When I looked at the Iron Cross from the He-Man figure as a kid, I never in the cartoon, the toy, the mini comics, anything ever thought, nothing popped into my mind of Hitler or anything. That didn't even come to my mind. It was just He-Man, cool symbol. But you're right. Nowadays, of maybe people trying to be politically correct or don't want to, get somebody upset, they played safe. Now, what I did, I'll be honest, for the vintage line though, I started catching on with the H from the figures, meaning going to Battle Armor, Thunder Punch, Flying Fist, and then it was even represented on Dragon Walker. I really did start getting to that H because I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
When people see Batman's symbol, that's Batman. This is Spider-Man. this is Superman. But for He-Man, like you said, here's the Iron Cross, and some people might think, okay, wait, is that He-Man? Oh, is that something from like ancient literature? Is it something like you said? Anything they might start picking apart of where is this and what does it mean, because it can be used for multiple things. Unlike the other superheroes, their thing. So when they made that H for the toys, I was like, that could be like He-Man's symbol. But I know, of course, people are familiar with what they seen as the original toys, Iron Cross, and in the cartoon, but I got into it myself. I was like, damn, I thought it'd been cool if he could have had that H or something used for the future. But, like you said, when they came to MYP, they go to a different design. I was like, that's too bad they couldn't use the vintage thing and try to do that H design.
I felt they had to, even though they, felt like they had to put their own spin on the visuals, with everybody, but they still maintain it. Like Skeletor still has the crossbones on his chest. Why couldn't we have seen the HM thrown in as He-Man's, even for a variant, or I mean, which I always felt that the battle sound figures of He-Man and Skeletor should have been the battle armor He-Man and Skeletor, not those giant ridiculous, robot machines. The battle sounds when you hit the button, and it's Alan Oppenheimer's voice and John Irwin's voice. That should have been the battle armor, because battle armor He-Man had that was kind of similar to the HM, not spot on, but it was like almost
similar.
And it was a silver armor, just like battle armor He-Man had. So when I saw, I'm like, God, that looks like an updated version of the battle armor He-Man with the headpiece on and everything. And why that was never incorporated? That should have been battle armor He-Man. But
yeah, you're right. I didn't get that either, because I remember, it was called Battle Sound He-Man, Battle Sound Skeletor, and I remember they came out and I thought, hey, these are kind of cool, and the shiny armor, they had those, like you said, their voices in it, and then later on, here came Battle Armor He-Man, Battle Armor Skeletor with those crazy mech'd out things that I was like, what? This ain't the battle armor I think of. And you're right. I remember I took a collage picture one time where I was like, I took all the Battle Armor He-Man versions of the figure and put them together. And I put the godforsaken weird one, the 2000X Big Mech one. Everybody said, Armor He-Man, it's the silver one. And I was like, this one? They said, yeah. I was like, well, I said, I agree with you. I said, but no, they unfortunately called this Battle Sound. So, but you're right. That should have been like a Battle Armor, not that weird crap. But nothing in your head thinks Battle Armor when you see that.
I don't know. I would love to sit down with somebody who had, I mean, a lot of hands-on with the designs, the green lighting for a lot of those, gimmicks and god awful variants that they get. Just and I would be completely cool with and polite, but like, why didn't you do Battle Armor? Why didn't you do throwbacks to, because if kids aren't familiar with it, what's the harm in re-releasing what the adult fans are already familiar with for the current generation? Why do you feel like we got to come up with a bunch of really, we have to have Mega Fist and Mega Punch and and Smash this and Smash that and Switchblade He-Man and a Swiss Army He-Man.
They went to town with those.
And some of the variants, even is and everyone associates the Spin Blade and Smash Blade He-Man Skeletor as, yes, they were shelf fillers. However, the color designs and the gimmicks themselves, I thought were fine because it was like reminiscent of the Flying Fist He-Man. So I'm like, you know what, I'm cool with that. It's just a shame that was always, clogging the shelves up for such a long time and is always looked upon as the two variants, which they were, I'm sorry, but they were not the only variants clogging the shelves up.
No, I agree. They weren't the only. They seemed like they definitely dominated, but I guess the reason being is when you looked at the other variants, they were ones that had at least a different type of armor, maybe a sculpt different, like as goofy as that Jungle Attack He-Man was. I mean, he was in a completely crazy pose and.
When I saw the 2-up statue of the Jungle Attack He-Man, when the line was announced, I thought having He-Man looking like Rambo with the red headband
yeah.
and the war of paint on his body, I'm like, with the bow and arrow, I'm like, God, that looks pretty badass to me. Now, granted, the final figure didn't stand up very well at all.
The pose ruined it.
Well, the pose did ruin it. However, the actual idea of He-Man essentially looking like Rambo, that would have been cool to see that in an episode where He-Man is stripped of his power harness and all of his other weapons, has now got to go into, the Forgotten Forest or the Evergreen Forest. Or
and then he gets all camouflaged. Like, I like that. Yeah.
Nothing to fend for him. No defense except his like Rambo, his own kind of survival tactics. So to come up with using mud to put on his body is some sort of, disguised camouflage. And he's got, a part of an Eternian flag that he's found that's fallen. He takes part of it, wraps it around his head, constructs a bow and arrow, and then goes on to fight some of the evil warriors. And that would have been a great way. And I think people would have been behind the Jungle Attack because all they see is this extremely random variant in the first wave or the maybe second wave at the time of the 2000X toy line, and I always heard everybody speak so poorly of it. I'm like,
no, and I agree. I liked it. Like I said, the idea that the name and idea and everything was great, but I mean the execution of the figure itself in that pose sucked because he's always like in this weird leaned back, and you.
Wait, I ended up having to pose the leaning back foot forward to kind of counterweight with the bow and everything.
It still wasn't fun, it wasn't fun as for good posing. Like the same thing, like Triclops was cool, but he was always put in that pose. And as bizarre as it sounds, I have these figures from China of some of the 2000X figures and variants of He-Man, and they're like 2 inches bigger. And they took Attack He-Man design and made one for those big 8-inch China 2000X figures. But he's not in that goofy pose. He's in a regular pose. I was like, hey, you look cooler now. Plus, it's a bigger figure, but
I see what you could do with the customization, like of a Jungle Attack He-Man. Taking a classic figure, and whether it's the Snake Armor classic head or even the vintage style head or something, and coming up with, a classicized Jungle Attack with the new bow and arrow, the war paint. I think it'd be fun to see you kind of cut loose and kind of add on to the jungle attack. Add a little bit more of a, well, classicize it. Add a little bit more grit to a jungle attack.
I might try it. I might attempt that.
That would be that of all the variants from that 2000 and Smash Blade and Spin Blade did look cool. Battle Sounds look cool, and the snake armor, I don't care what people say, I thought it looked pretty badass. However, that jungle attack, I would love to see Joe tackle that to see how much more, how far could you go with the jungle attack with the war paint? It just to have He-Man running around in the jungle, taking out enemies with a bow and arrow silently. When you close in on his eyes as he's focused on like Two-Bad walking by, you got the wind blowing and he's got like the bandana blowing. I mean, God,
especially if his sword, especially if at some point his sword was not with him and he has to retrieve his sword, so he has to go through the stuff to get it.
Strictly weaponless, power harness. I mean, no power harness. It is strictly He-Man coming up with what he can find around him, and much like Arnold in Predator, when he's got the mud on and he constructs his own bow and arrow. It with taking and breaking and taking and spinning or bending a lot of sticks with vines and tying it together. That's what I want to see He-Man do in this particular episode where he puts on the war. Do it as a throwback to Predator. That'd be awesome.
I'll see what I can do, man. I'll see what I can do. And well, I was gonna say before we move into our character discussions about Tytus and Megator, I just want to shout out to Josh Hale again. He said, "Thanks for the shout out, Joe." He says, "My wife walking by just said, did he just say your name?" So, yeah, I did. And let me just say hi to Josh's wife. So, hi, Josh's wife, in case you heard that too. But, all right. Our character, profiles and discussion today are on two people, the Giants, Tytus and Megator. And as you know, back in the vintage days, well, here in the United States, we never got them. Those were, European exclusives release. We were supposed to get them, but I won't go into that story because I've already done that a million times. But they did have, I can't remember, and I hate it if I'm going to give somebody credit and it's not the right person, and I'm hoping it was Josh Van Pelt. I'm hoping that I thought he showed an actual American box that they had for Tytus. That I don't know if he had the proof of it, because remember, it was never released in the US, so you only seen the European versions. But on the English version, which he showed the text and everything from, you see a little more about talking about Tytus and Megator. At least on the back for like Tytus, it says like the Giants come from an incredible place known as Mammoth Valley, where everything is 10 times the normal size of, like everything else. So I thought that was cool. It's like, I don't think I ever heard of Mammoth Valley anywhere else. And of course, this is back in Preternia. So this makes you wonder, we got, of course, in the classics line, we got them in the mini comics, but it's not what we would have got back in the days. So Tytus and Megator, we never from them, but I can only envision, since we were supposed to get Hero and Eldor, and I'm sure they would even give us a Gray, and then we would have had Tytus and Megator. What do you think, Tom? I mean, first you could just discuss about what you think about them, but I always thought, man, how cool would their stories have been? Because I'm sure they would have been featured prominently in mini comics in anything for that line that could have happened. God, I wish it did.
It's like with Hero 2, a big tease of what could have been and what should have been. To have expanded the mythology of He-Man, of having giants, like an actual like big giants running around, especially also to kind of expand upon that, there's that artwork in the Power and Honor Foundation book that depicts the land of the giants with the dinosaurs running around and stuff like that too, where you've got lots of giants, lots of. I don't have the book on me at the moment. I've got it somewhere in one of these boxes or something like that. But I think there was like a couple of different, like there was like a variety of like Megators and other giants, like human giants, kind of reminiscent of Tytus running around. You've got Hero and King Hiss and the Snake Men running around. So you just like all hell's broken loose with dinosaurs and giants and Snake Men and wizards and stuff. But like, God, man, this just would have been a tremendous backstory. And I didn't really. I don't think I got to see the actual giants like visually until it may have been the Adam Tyner website or in Lee's toy review because they used to do a lot of spreads on the He-Man toy line, like Men on Card and then Loose, and they would show you everything. But I thought they were awesome looking giants, and then to come across the box art, which really made my mind just sit and look at that box art, especially Tytus, because when and it's so cool to see castles that were not Castle Grayskull in the background. They look like your traditional four parapet castle, like a basic medieval castle, but you've got Squeeze, Snakeface, Tongue Lasher in the background, standing around in awe as Tytus is taking his weapon and grabbing a hold of King Hiss, as Hero's kind of standing there, praising him for what he's doing and kind of, taunting the rest of the Snake Man, like we're gonna kick your ass here. But it just made you want, like, God, man, the stories we could have gotten. I mean, just that beautiful box art just made me think of what Pre-Eternia, that it wasn't just barren wastelands of rock formations and mountains and stuff. No, we got beautiful kind of medieval Gothic castles and stuff like that being torn apart by Megator. He goes on a big kicking frenzy and he's smashing stuff with his wrecking ball. I mean, it just leaves so much to be desired, and God, it's a absolute shame. I hope I'm gonna do my best, people here, to not cuss much, if at all, anymore here. So just as I'm getting excited, I'm like, I've already set up too small. So I'll make that my limit here. Anyway, it's just I mean, it feels like there's so many great stories to be told. Not just one or two or three mini comic stories. I'm talking a whole mythology, an entire universe based on the Pre-Eternia itself, where you got Snake Man, you got Hero and Eldor, the dinosaurs and the giants, and then you could expand upon that, especially with characters that may have been hinted at. I often wonder too. The like Hotshot or Plasmar and Lord Grasp and Terror. When we saw those pictures, that when the black and white Earl MacArthur, I used to wonder if those were supposed to be Pre-Eternia characters.
And I don't know if that ever was really, really expanded on, if they said it was, or if it was just going to be a quick filler wave before, we got the Pre-Eternia.
Like you said, it probably was going to, because if Strobo was on his way using reused parts, it's safe to say that Plasmar, Grasp, and Terror would have been same thing with the Snake Man Horde Troopers. But when I first saw them, I thought, I wonder if those would have been Pre-Eternia characters running around, like Plasma or Hotshot would have been a buddy for Hero to be running around in Pre-Eternia times,
It just, man, I always say it's a punch in the stomach when I seen those, like I said, that catalog when I was a kid and really thinking they were coming and they never did. Just the thought of, what if they did come? What if, I mean, unfortunately, the line ran its course in the United States, so we didn't get the Giants, we didn't get the laser figures, those, again, other, country exclusives, and we didn't get to have those, but it makes you think, what if the Power of Grayskull line did come out and it succeeded? And, what if we did get more Giants? Picture our collections now. We'd have Giant Tytus, Megator, and other big giants. We would have had that monster Gigantosaur that would probably be just, I mean, holy God. I mean, that thing was the biggest thing you'd ever see. I think it stood taller than the Eternia playset. But would they make more giants? All the other characters, would they explain more about the G? Because, as you know, you look at Tytus, and he has a G on his symbol, and you're like, what's a G on his symbol for? But then if you look, you'll see that some of the concept original art for Hero, he had a G on his chest. So I don't know if that was standing for his name Gray, or if they're going to call him Grayskull, or I don't know if they had any other things about Hero. I'll be honest, I never dug into that. Did they ever?
I'd always been under the impression that Grayskull, because I follow, if people who listen to this podcast know, I carry the biggest flag for Hero as being the sole source of power for He-Man. The reason Grayskull was built is to honor Grayskull, and I'd like to have thought that it wasn't necessarily because he died. It's that this castle was built, as almost like this would be Hero's fortress. This would be his home, his royal palace, so to speak. And then when he dies, his entire existence, his power, everything, is kind of guarded by the Eldors, and then they take off, or I don't know. There's so much you could do.
what I was
Or
asking though, what do you think of?
the castle itself is not necessarily housing Hero's power at first. That it could be made in his honor to honor when the character does pass away, which would not be due to some ridiculous techno-virus nonsense that was
No,
written.
but the G. What do you think? Maybe they would explain more because, like I said, that became Tytus's. Then Titus had the G,
I,
and
I
then
took I think that is Tytus is a defender of Grayskull, and that Grayskull is built in Hero's honor because his name is Gray. I took it as Grayskull. I guess that's why it would make sense that the castle would be forged after his death. Castle Grayskull.
well, I mean, because like I said, things in my head start, exploding. Because like you said, we really don't know what the hell they were going to do, but we know that originally Hero had the G, then they scrapped that idea and then put that kind of like H design or whatever you want to say that was, basically an H. He got that then in the vintage figure that we never got, but then Titus kept that G. So I wonder if they, like you said, were going to spin it differently. Like maybe they thought, okay, we're originally going to call him Grayskull. Maybe no, let's change it. We'll call him Hero, and let's throw the G over to Titus, and maybe Titus can wear in honor of something like. You're right. I don't know. That's what kills me. I always think,
Well,
man.
I mean, what else could the G stand for? I mean,
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
Well,
Giant.
plus with the Grayskull, call it the powers of Grayskull. I mean, it's a big G on his chest. This guy is a defender of Grayskull, and in this tour line, we probably would have seen the formation of the castle itself, and that the whole idea. I mean, because that would be using what they did in 2000X, but that this castle is built as a home to Hero to house all of Eldor's secrets, his books and things like that. It's built to him, and Titus is there as a a full on defender of this castle. Hell, maybe even help build the damn.
Could you picture how prominent he would have been? Like I said, in those stories back then,
Titus would have been it would have been cool to see other giants. You could almost have like a faction of heroic giants, and then maybe not a faction of evil giants. Because I picture Megator as being a loner.
Well,
I can't see him teaming up with other giants. This
I
guy
bet there probably would have been others, but I mean, seeing that on the back of that box, it did say that they came from, that land that was, giant, where everything was giant. I'm sure that giants would have, had a major role back then, but those two would have been prominent. And, it's unfortunate, like you said, we got a mini comic after all these years when we finally got Titus and Megator Classics, but they were just dismissed so easily, and it just annoyed me because, like I said, we didn't.
Just mention though in the Powers of Grayskull mini comic, which is the closest thing we'll ever get in the vintage line, is when they enter Praeternia, and Sorceress tells He-Man like over that way, that's the land of the giants. That's the only acknowledgement of Titus and Megator that we get, and when you look at that, you're thinking, God, what's going on already? Like right where we're at right now is the Snake Man invasion and tearing apart that village and probably devouring the villagers and stuff like that just for the fun of it. But in that direction, man, that's where the giants are at. You just think,
I know
are there fights going on over there? Are the dinosaurs used as pets to the giants in this mythology? Like, is a T-Rex running, I mean, obviously not necessarily like obedient pets, but I could see like Dino Riders, like the Brontosaurus. I could see it being kind of calm and easy with Titus, like kind of at his side, whereas a T-Rex is running around just kind of being malicious, just like Megator. You got, I just so many.
What I always hope. I mean, I know that they've said they've pretty much looked through most things that they know. They said, okay, they definitely did not draw out, an issue 2 of Power Grayskull or 3 or whatever. But with how things are always popping up of old pieces of art, something crazy, somebody looking in an old warehouse, a drawer, some place, it would be so awesome, even if they didn't have it drawn. But if they had like a little bit of a little script written out or something, or storyboarded of what they had planned. I keep crossing my fingers because just last week or earlier this week, last week, however you want to say, I think Rebecca Taylor, Mark Taylor's wife, she posted up an image of 2 other early concept pieces of Mark Taylor that nobody's ever seen. And one, they pretty much think it might have been an early version of Manny Faces. It's this character that has all these crazy masks. I was like, what the hell? I mean, in my head, I was freaking out seeing it. And then this other character that looks like a tree type warrior. But when you see stuff like that, you can only hope, maybe there's a miracle. Maybe somewhere in some goofy file folder is going to pop up a story where they're going to have at least maybe issue 2 of Powers of Grayskull, and we could actually see maybe what they had planned. Because I guarantee you, Tytus and Megator would have appeared. If they didn't appear in second issue, it had to have been the third. But I think they would have showed up in those mini comics.
I truly believe that book was never written. There may have been maybe a script outline of that. Like
that's what I hope. That's what I hope. Yeah.
Yeah, but actual like illustrations and stuff like that, I just feel like no, I don't think it had been done. But I would like to have thought that the second issue would have been the sorceress talking to He-Man, and then you're seeing flashback. Like the whole book is about revealing who Hero is, and you would see him, holding the staff up just like he did in that shot in the Powers of Grayskull, and it's like He-Man looking through this mirror, or the sorcerer's like hall of living pictures or something like that, and you're watching the story take place of who Hero is, where does he come from, how did he get his powers from Eldor, and the battle between him and the Snake Men, and introducing. I mean, it just would have been an epic mini comic drawn by Larry Houston. I mean, it just, God, man, it's breaks the heart to know we had such a great idea coming towards us. It got canned, and it has been, not treated with the dignity that it deserves. It has not been. I mean, well, it's probably best to be laid dormant, because if DC and the rest of those, goofs who don't seem to actually want to treat the source material with any kind of dignity and respect, it's probably best that no one attempts to, hey, it was never done before, I got an idea for that, and I'll go throw in my creative character and throw him in DC Comics too, and ruin everything and piss everybody off. And it's fun. It's so much fun to think about. God, I would love to have a crack at fleshing that story out, just because it just felt like there would be so many great things you could do with it, and it felt like it wouldn't affect anything that fans know from the current mythology. It would not affect the role of the sorceress, where Skeletor comes from, the Horde, and all this. I feel like it could be its own contained story of the creation of Grayskull itself, because I 120% believe that castle, had this continued, would have been made.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, as either Hero's home or as a monument to honor him, one or the other. It would have been kind of cool to see Hero living in Grayskull, though.
It would have.
An actual home, and that's where he lives. He, Eldor trains him there, and is constantly,
Well, here's the thing. On the back of that box that I was speaking of, where you finally see it in English and everything explained for people maybe never seen it before, it also said, on his back of his box for Tytus, it said, travel back in time through a secret time portal and discover the origin of the power of Grayskull. Learn how He-Man became so strong. And it said, then explore the magical world of Preternia, home of Hero, the most powerful wizard in the universe. So they had something special set up for us. And yeah, we never.
The Bionatops box description here.
Does it say the same thing?
I see. Yeah, travel back in time to the portal, discover the past. Just learn to explore the magical world of Preternia, home of Hero, the most powerful wizard, and dinosaurs and fierce giants, both good and evil, struggle for control of this strange and hostile land.
Did it say learn how He-Man became so strong? It said that too?
No, actually, see, next it said the dinosaurs in the time of Grayskull. In the time of Grayskull, you're like, okay.
Did they mention Mammoth Valley? Because I don't have that box anymore, and I haven't seen it in so long.
This says next is, can Hero master all the good magic of the ancient wizards and protect future eternity from forever falling into the claws of evil? Look for Hero and the powers of Grayskull coming your way in 87.
Okay.
We were supposed to have this toy line the same year the movie came out, which, God, man, it's probably by Christmas 87, we would have gotten Hero and Eldor, and oh man.
Yeah, well, what could have been? But I'm so glad. Like I said, that was
come up.
Yeah, no, I'm glad it
was out on these, like I did when the first pretty much the whole toy line for that matter came out, I would have been there. It's just like when I'm able to figure out what action figures are and discover He-Man. Close the doors, kid. You know, you had enough. You know, it's like I didn't even get on the ride once.
Man, like again, what could have been, but yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, like I said, that's all you really had for Tytus and Megator. I mean, there's the current.
There's not a whole lot of backstory to those characters, and it's
Unfortunately.
fun to think of. I will say, Axel Jimenez did some really cool illustrations of Megator and Tytus. These are like some old illustrations he did. He's kind of hard on himself for some of his older stuff, but they were so cool looking and kind of throwbacks to what could have been. You know, it's like the Snake Men running around. You got Megator attacking and Hero, and it was just really really cool stuff. I mean, it just keeps you hungry for, like, you know what? It just, you really wish that someone with money and someone who knows how would get behind this and give all these what if scenarios, you know, their due.
Give them some life, because I don't have it. There was an Italian comic that did feature. I don't know how prominent it was, but Megator did feature in an Italian comic years ago. I was back in the days in the 80s. Megator did appear in one. I had some screen grabs. I mean, I can always try to post them later, but Megator showed up. I don't think Tytus, but Megator did in some kind of story. I just wish I could have knew what the heck was going on. But I was going to say, before we transition into our final topic, Adam in the chat room was hoping you could just put your Bionatops or whatever. Did you have Bionatops or Turbodactyl? He wanted to see it up close. He thought he'd get a kick out of seeing that in the sealed box.
Yeah. Bionatops here. I'm trying to make sure it's lined up with the entire screen there. If you can, as I'm talking, if you can see the entire front of it. Can you see it all right, Joe?
Yep, got a perfect one. Now that I talked, it switched to me, but there you go. So there you go, Adam. He gave it to you. You got the
your side, just to kind of give you an idea. If you haven't seen it, for the people who are viewing YouTube, there, kind of, it's a simple illustration on the back there. But I mean, I
always love the box art from the front and back. They were by different artists, you could tell, but I always love the cool pieces of art.
I did too, and I treasure that Bion. I never owned Bionatops as a kid. That's the only one that I've got, is one I got from Brian's Toys back in the year 2000 for, I think, $20 or $30.
You got that for $20 or $30 boxed? Really?
Yeah. It was. Dang. I think it was around Christmas time. I think they had a lot of deals on some of their stuff, and I think I paid about $30 for it.
Wow.
But at that time, I was still in high school. $30 might as well have been $100. You know, when I only going by money that I got for Christmas, and at that time I was getting an allowance. So yeah, that was like, oh my God! I was like, I must have this. This was, you know, this was around that time too, where I was slowly starting to dabble in eBay, but I was doing most of my toy shopping from toy shops that I would see ads for in their magazines and go on their website and see what was available and stuff.
I remember it was at a Kmart. I always just remember because I didn't expect those things. And all of them weren't there. Eventually, then we had to search other stores. But I remember seeing Tyrannosaurus Rex at Kmart. That, for some reason, stuck in my head so much, seeing that purple, cool-looking... Oh, I didn't want to say purple dinosaur, because I sure the hell ain't referring to Barney. But I just remember seeing that just vicious-looking dinosaur, freaking out, got that thing, and oh, God, was I obsessed with winding up the Mechadrone, putting it in, having it fly across. Oh, God, I love that damn gimmick. So
I was, too. My granddaddy got it for me. I think it was at a KB Toys at a mall in Pennsylvania when we went to go visit him, and it's kind of like that one, you know, it's like you go visit your grandparents and they like to do something fun for you. We went out to a mall during that visit, and I remember seeing the T-Rex on, I guess, what appeared to be like a top shelf or something like that. And he got it for me. We took it back home to their house. I played with that T-Rex with my He-Man figures and that little Megadrome, and looking at that mini comic, and was just forever just taken aback by, oh man, it was just those dinosaurs, man. They were such a, God, man. We do it. It just makes me want to sort of just.
Those were the days, man. That was the good stuff. It was.
bad. It really is. It's not beating in Mattel's head enough that this Powers of Grayskull line had so much potential, and it's like everybody just kind of forgets that. Yeah, we were going to do that, and but it was at the time when the He-Man toy line was dying, so it's like they never look at it as anything more as, oh, those were plans that people just kept buying the toy line, but since the people didn't care, why should we? You're like, no, you don't really understand how treasured and celebrated this spin-off toy line is with fans, and
it's unfortunate. Like we always say, what could have been, but all right, man. Well, now that we're done with that, we'll move into our final topic, and you got to tell everybody what to do like you always do.
well, ladies and gentlemen, I've waited a long time for this one here myself. And what we'll be doing here is doing a commentary for the return of Orko's uncle, which I saw on this VHS tape. And as you see on the back here, you've got this images that I would see every time I would go to Beyond Video store in Radford, Virginia, where I currently live still. And this particular tape was rented not this exact one. I got this one at a video store in Pulaski where Nathan used to live. That was still renting tapes when I was in high school and in college.
I'm sure you rented enough to where you probably could have bought the thing if you wanted.
Well, believe me, Beyond Video is where I bought my first VHS tape, which was volume 9. No, wait, this is 9. Volume 10 of He-Man, which features Evelyn's plot and Disappearing Act. I had $5 to buy a previously viewed tape of that. Had I seen this copy at Beyond Video, I'm calling Beyond Retro. That's where I got the name Beyond Retro, was from Beyond Video, this video store that I went to. Yeah. But had I seen this tape available to buy, I would have bought it by far. I mean, it would have. Oh man, it'd been awesome. But we'll be doing a commentary for Return of Orko's Uncle. The episode, I'm pretty sure, is available to watch on YouTube. I don't think James has it on his channel,
but it is on there. The Return of Orko's Uncle is on YouTube. If you guys wanted to click it, split screen, so you could still hear our commentary and watch and unmute it if you want to hear how we do our commentary along with the episode. But yeah, you go ahead and finish up.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it on mobile device here as I'm talking to Joe here. So I'm just gonna count down from 3, and then when I hit say play, you hit play at the same time as me on your DVD, VHS, or YouTube, wherever you're at, iTunes purchase, whatever it might be. 3, 2, 1, play. Bing. Now, JoJo, prior to coming in contact with me, are you familiar with people ever discussing this episode, or?
You know what's sad? I'm familiar with them No, I'm familiar with them discussing it, but mainly due to the parts with what Orko does at some point during this episode, which, when it comes up, we'll discuss. But as for the main villains, which I love in this episode, and I know you love them to death, I was like, I don't hear no people talking about them much. It's like, how can you guys not like these two villains? Especially when you see them, it's like, how? I only hear Uncle Montor, Orko, and then when Orko does what he does, which you know what I'm saying. But, yeah, they don't talk about, everybody knows who the villains are in this, I'm sure, Azrog and Spydra. But, I don't hear them talking about them, which that saddens me because I always liked them. The original, they definitely were memorable because you didn't see characters like that in any of the other episodes. When you see new main villains, they stuck in your head. And, of course, you'd wanted toys of them.
Not all the time. And that was something special about this episode here, which as this opening shot here of Tralla. This was the first time I saw anything of Tralla. I hadn't seen Dawn of Dragoon yet when I saw this episode. I just always thought this was cool. And then you close in and see this imprisoned Azrog here. But I was not fond of episodes that didn't feature Skeletor as the primary villain 90% of the time. This was one of the few episodes that I would rent, and I knew that Skeletor was not the villain in this episode, and I didn't care, excuse me, because I found them to be quite frightening.
Yeah, and as you see right there, Montor thought he imprisoned Azrog right there, but he's like, nope. And what's funny is, it's not where I got the phrase where I call you my partner in crime, but he's going to find his partner in crime, Spydra, on Eternia.
Yeah. which I just thought it made it kind of frightening to me that Azrog was so defiant right there, and then you see this split off here, which used to freak me out. Cause, oh no, he's going to go to the Spider. No, you got to get out of there, man. And then this cool looking visual Spider's castle here, and I just thought Spider was just as scary as Chakotay as a kid. This awesome panning shot down here, and she cackles. God, it scared me so much as a kid. And I used to feel so bad for Montour being trapped in this castle. Oh man, I felt so bad for him.
Yeah, he never had luck, it seemed like, with anything. He's always getting split from wherever. I mean, if it wasn't getting split from Gark in the other episode, Gark's one spot, and he's always getting split from wherever the hell he's supposed to go, it seems like. But yeah, now he's got his first encounter with Spider. I had a question, though. Now, we know that, of course, Orko, they always say his magic doesn't work properly or as good on the Eternity as it does on Trala. He's supposed to be the most powerful wizard on Trala and everything, but it seemed like they always had the other Trolans. Like, I mean, when Montour comes, Montour can use his, and then Azrael can use his magic. I don't know. I felt like something got lost in translation when they.
I think a lot of times it's just kind of the lack of continuity because
they
have a whole lot of it. It's a fun plot device to kind of justify why Orko's magic doesn't work all the time. But you don't have enough time to justify. And we don't even know that Azrael comes directly from Trala. We just know he's an evil sorcerer that came from Trala, but we don't know that he is of Trallan blood or descent.
I noticed one other thing, not a big thing, but I seen an underbite snaggletooth from Cringer when he was under that table. I usually see the upper snaggletooth. I don't know if that under was shown much, but it always caught my eye to see that under snaggletooth. I figured you or definitely James Etok would know how many times he's had an under snaggletooth, but it just caught my eye for a reason.
Pay attention to that, to be honest.
Yeah, he did that, but this, of course, we're going to see, an encounter. We might see some magic going on here, and when I see the scene of Tila getting trapped by the blanket, I for some reason think of the Naked Gun when Leslie Nielsen gets the pillow or the towel thrown at him. He's like, and he can't get up. I was like, it's a blanket, and
it's a nice way of saying just how useless Tila can be a lot.
Well, yeah, and then
in any situation, she just buckles like a belt.
Right, but not only her, Orko throws the blanket on Azrog, and apparently it's kryptonite. It's
not a blanket; it's more or less like the equivalent of a net. And, when you see a net in action, people struggle to get out of it. So
yeah, I just always looked at it as like just a big blanket. Like, oh, that must be the kryptonite. I mean, magic won't do it. But look, he's paralyzed. He's stuck on the ground with the blanket. Oh, I'm sorry, but that Naked Gun scene came into my head, and I know you know that scene.
I just don't want people coming away from this thinking, oh, yeah, man, Azrael and Spider suck, man. They got beat by a blanket. Like, no.
Well, Tila did, too, so Tila got beat by the blanket. But then here we go. Now, what's the name? Is that Cog or Cog? What is the name of
as a kid, I always thought because the way Alan Oppenheimer's talking, it sounds like he's saying Cog, but it's Karg, just like the movie character, Karg.
Oh, it is. But is it spelled differently, I hope, with a C maybe or something?
But with a K.
No kidding. I never knew that.
I'm pretty certain in James's first edition of the unofficial He-Man episode guide, it's in the notes for that episode that his name is written as Karg.
Oh, okay. Because when I heard,
it sounds like he's saying Cog, like C-O-G.
Yeah, because when Azrog first was saying it, I thought he was saying Cog, but later when He-Man says it and the others, you are hearing Karg, like you said, you hear Karg pretty clearly.
I never could because it sounded like He-Man said Garg. Like as a kid at least. No one ever said it, proficiently. Everyone was saying it differently, so I could never figure what the name of the dragon's name was. But as we're heading to Spider's castle here, see this should have been used so much more. Like there's so much detail put into that castle here, and there's such striking villains. It's a shame that even though Trala's been revisited numerous times, why these two villains never were seen again. I mean, I know we have our one-shot villains, stuff like that, but I almost feel like why am I the only one? Thankfully, you see this too, but why is it like no one sees the visual appeal and the just the badass factor of these two? I mean, she's a looking evil sorcerer, green skin, green punked hair. A curvy body and just with no eye pupils. She just looks creepy.
I also like that right there, though. Montork showed Bam, like, hey, I'm a magician too. I like how he busts out the net like nothing, and Bam uses his magic to trap her. That's what I mean. He's showing how bad he is. Montork, like, you want to play, I'm going to play with you. And you're not getting silliness. You're not getting stupid water buckets falling on somebody's head.
I like this episode so much more than Montork's first appearance, Orko's favorite uncle. Even as a kid, I didn't like it. As an adult, I don't like it still. This is to me the quintessential Uncle Montork episode, and it's for a variety of reasons.
Was it just me, or did his voice sound slightly different in this one than his first appearance?
It changes a lot of times his voice, but this particular version that Lou Scheimer did, this is Uncle Montork's voice for me. It sounds different in Return of Orko's Uncle. I know it changes, and oh God, I'm drawing blanks here. In some of the other episodes, like the She-Ra episode. Where Uncle Montork shows up in that. God, I can't remember the name of the episode. Sorry, She-Ra fans, I can't. I'm drawing a blank on that one, but I don't know it at the moment. However, this is my, and I always like this, the music and this shot of Azrael clenching his fist, looking so so defiant, and just how easily he just stops Montork's man, just snaps his fingers, and look how just the hunch, the visual of Azrael himself,
Yeah, because it definitely changes from, like you said, how it first started, where Teal and him get caught in what I call the blanket. But yeah, now he's showing what he can do. It's like, bam, with the snap of fingers, he got rid of the bubble there. But then he's showing that basically later he's going to show he runs the show, and you're going to see what he does with Spider. Because I always thought they were kind of like a team. Because remember when he said that's his partner in crime, I thought, okay, they're like teammates, but kind of can do in a little bit. That's what I said. You do see a lot of good magic use of all of them in this episode.
Yeah, magic. All these characters are used. Like Orko, even though he gets himself in trouble, he's still written very. And Douglas Booth does a great job, and he wrote both episodes of Orko's favorite uncle in this episode. And he
Bam.
Oh, that's cool.
Right there, now he's like, you're under my command. See, and there's the crazy eyes, and look, bam, he just puts her right under his control. He's wanting, I think, her to take care of, was it Orko or Montork while he takes care of the others?
In Card right now to go stop He-Man, but then
oh yeah,
he tells her that I'll take care of Montork. He gives her to me, I was like, dude, you're going to give her the harder task. You're going to send Spydra to go take on He-Man and Teela, and you're going to take on Montork. I almost feel like, what a typical heel. He's going, which, not to downplay, because Montork is an extremely powerful magician. From a kid standpoint, like, you're given the task of her taking on by herself.
Yep, yeah, and again, I love that right there. Montork, bam, put up a bubble around him to protect him, He-Man, and Teela, like nothing. As I said, look, yeah, there you go.
Montork. I just thought he's so cool in this episode. He's such an Uncle Montork is. He's so cool.
And you got Orko wanting to show what he can do. So now he's going to go up there and try to take care of some business.
Cat flopping around as he's floating around, and here's he finds Spider's wand. I just thought
this wand you got to watch closely too. When he gets this wand, see that it has it looks like a bone fingernail. It looks
like Lynn's wand.
Yeah, like look at that. You see how it is? It looks bone-like. But then when they show it later, you're going to see in another scene. Yeah, it's different. The wand's thing that goes around that ball looks different in the next scene when Spider comes to get that wand. I don't know if you ever pay attention, but I remember that kind of bugged me too, especially when I'm sometimes maybe want to sculpt stuff now. But I know it's different details. Like, okay, what was supposed to be the wand? I like the bone detail a little bit more. It looks a little, creepy.
Oh yeah. It's definitely kind of what you'd expect an evil sorcerer's wand to look like this kind of like clawed hand holding the pearl on the wand.
Yeah.
This was another fearful moment for me when they were worried about trying to find Orko, and this moment when Spider goes to get her wand, I felt so bad for Orko. She goes off and geez, man, Orko's stuck. Can't get out. Gotta get out, man.
See, look how different it is right there. It's completely different now. But yeah, he got caught in the stalk where he was trying to do with the magic beans. And it looks like, of course, they gave it a little more handle. Again, just drawing differences, stuff like that happened. But yeah, now she's got back her wand. But there's something else that happens. Again, never me picking on stuff, because like I said, I love the episode. But of course, there's a couple little nitpicks. I see a particular part.
That's an animation error where they took away some of the details, and
He's so frightened. I like that. He's basically wants him to stop. And Orko didn't stop because of a magic spell. He stopped in fear. That's what I thought was kind of cool. But then he comes back. It's like he almost wants to see what he could do. But yeah, I
Just
like
sheer shock of like, you actually speak to me like that. Like Azrael is just like the nerve of this guy. It was just, and then I got nervous for him here when the shadows looking down at him. He just felt
and you were
scared.
wondering what is going on. That's what made it even cooler when you see later, because you did wonder, like, what are they going to do with Orko? Are they going to imprison him? Are they going to trap him somewhere? You never know where they're going with half the stuff, especially when it's your first time seeing it. You're very curious. What are they going to do?
And just they look so cool here, Azrog and Spydra. Like just the like look at Spydra's face right there. She just looks just the epitome of evil. And I always love this shot here of them because this was on the back of the VHS tape. So I just thought this was such a cool shot here of
You're probably
He-Man.
waiting the whole time to see it, seeing on the tape. Oh, but
Right
this,
there is this is the VHS box right there.
I like this. Now,
And
this is the part that got a kick in. Of course, He-Man doing his thing, using his strength, traps her. But I like this part with Tila. Just right here, bam. Here's Spider. She's getting ready to use it. Tila grabs it, and Tila either just became super strong, or that's the cheapest damn wand you ever see. She snapped it like a toothpick. I mean, did you ever
plus
pay
the fact that she got bested by a blanket and trying to make herself look better in front of He-Man, and then of course
right.
she's just taken captive immediately. So Tila can't catch a break in this episode of trying to look competent.
No, it's like I didn't get it. She's trapped in the Leslie Nielsen blanket, but then she snaps at like a toothpick. Like it was maybe she had the strength of the Tila from the DC comics that remember were before the cartoon, where she's throwing barbells like nothing. Maybe she had some of that strength all of a sudden. And
I
He-Man
was
had.
the animation of He-Man swinging the
I
grappling hook.
loved it. I always liked it. I did. I always liked when he got that grappling hook and used it. And now this part though, see, this is where I got confused. When he traps and puts Karg inside that sack, and then is worried like, oh, we better have them try to do something in case he grows. I was under the impression early that maybe Azrog made him grow, but they made it sound like maybe Karg can just grow himself that big. Is
Well,
that what you got?
I almost felt like they were trying to keep him kind of imprisoned at the moment before, he could.
But he wanted like Montork here to use a spell to make sure he doesn't grow.
For instance, can you keep him from growing? And of course, I mean, all it does is just, I mean, see right
He
there,
does a hickory dickory dock or something.
no grow, hickory dickory dock, boom, and then
Yeah.
well, it worked, didn't it? I guess. Yeah, he's still a small little dragon, so
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I was under the impression earlier that Azrog did it, but apparently,
not as thought through
yeah.
as it probably should be, but it's not really necessary because we're getting ready to move on to the finale. Here is the big reveal of what happened to Orko here.
Which this, as a kid, it did get me. It was kind of freaky when I first seen what we're gonna see right here. When Orko had them eyes like that, oh my god,
Used to seeing the Orko like that,
creeped
so no,
me out. Yeah, because he looks scary.
yeah, and turning himself into a human buzzsaw here, I was like, jeez.
Yeah, it was. Like, what in the world is going on? I mean, you're seeing Orko evil, and like he just bam, all this force and blows through the wall. When he rises up here, damn
This is
that!
cool shot.
I
That's
love
awesome.
it. I love it. He looks so mean, menacing, spooky. It's like, oh my god! Now they're having to deal with Orko super powered and evil. That was a twist because remember, Orko's supposed to be the lighthearted kid the lighthearted person that all the kids like, and when you're seeing him evil, it's like that's a twist. So I
And
like
this definitely has a lot of beats of Orko's favorite uncle, where Uncle Montork is possessed by Toron the magician. They've got to battle him. Now we got to battle Orko. So it is a direct sequel, and of course this outshines that episode tenfold.
it. And then he pulls out another wand that looks kind of like the other wand from earlier. It's like he's using this, or he's going to use it against his uncle. But I did like seeing Montork again using his power to hold off, Azrog, boom, up against like that wall like that. Again, show more of his power. But now Oracle's struggling, as of course Montork's trying to talk with him and trying to get him out of this spell that he's been put under by Azrog. But now we got He-Man. There we go. Time to take down, put him.
Shut up. Just slamming him right down. And the animation of Orko's eyes looking very sad and struggling. Oh, I had a tender heart as a kid. I just felt bad for him throughout this entire episode here. Because he starts sweating, and as a kid, I was like, is he crying? Or is he it just Lou Scheimer does like right there.
You could almost think maybe it was a combination. At one time, you thought maybe it was tears, but also the sweating of fighting that inner evil that's trying to take over, but knowing the good's in there trying to come out, and like you said, the sweat pouring out. So, yeah. This was an episode that was different because Orko's first evil, and then you're seeing this struggle. You're right. It was kind of emotional in a couple ways because it was something different.
This moment here of Orko saying like, I have to attack you to show you how good I am. And I as I got older, I really appreciated this message that Montauk is going to tell him. I don't care about how good a magician you are. I care about you. And I just thought that was really sweet, and I liked it. And Lou Scheimer doing such a good voice of both of them. Yeah, there you go.
There was a tear, and then eventually, then it's all the sweat. Oh, like you may just shut your mouth out, or basically just let these two have their moment. So you're right. He has Orko fighting to come out and have overpower this bad evil spell that's trying to take over him, and showing that love is the most important thing, most powerful thing is love. You like
the idea of having love. It's like it doesn't feel like it's come like it's beat. It's when you're seeing Orko struggle so much, it's not something you're used to seeing. So I feel like it's a very viable way of creating a solution to this issue that they're going through here, and that it's
a thing, like I said, you've never seen from Orko. It's something you were not used to seeing. You never seen him evil and struggling with this inner evil that's this mind spell that's been put on him. Yes, that was what's different. So how he could break that spell. So you finally got to see, and of course here and finally a little shot to where it kind of like affected He-Man, had that wand. You always got to have that moment wondering what's going on, and then here comes Taylor. Boom. She did, like I said, she's
redeeming herself here.
She's redeeming herself from the blanket incident, and bam, there went the other wand. It's like, how many of these wands exist though? I don't know. Has he got like a big bucket of them back at his I don't know, his lair? Because he's got them, and Spydra.
Magician or wizard, you probably got like a whole arsenal of wands. You just kind of feel like a gun enthusiast has got like a whole treasure trove of weapons. Wizards have got to have multiple wands, you'd think.
I guess so. It's like how, people go to the store buying guns. They have a shop where it's always just, here's your magic weapon, but you harness your magic through, here's your magic weapon, 15 rupees or whatever they cost. The thing right here, though, that I was curious about is you see Montauk taking Azrog back to Trala, but also taking Spydra back. Now, were you under the impression that Spydra was maybe from Trala, came to Eternia, and then is now going back? Or maybe he's just taking her from Eternia to go to Trala? I didn't know where.
Because they're both evil wizards. I took it as that she lives on Eternia. They probably got connected somehow and communicated and set up the deal where I'm going to leave Trala and come to Eternia and help conquer that planet.
And now he took her back.
Now he's just, what, we can't have this. I'm going to take you both back to Trala in a magic-proof cell. So. Plus, where Trala is so knee-deep in magic, you feel like, what, if you're going to imprison an evil sorcerer, that's probably where you want to put them.
There you go. Well, that's the end of that episode. I mean, it was a really good one with two characters that was their only appearance, correct? That's the only time you ever seen Azrog and Spydra.
Yep, the only time we ever see them, and it never gets old, this episode. I love it. It's in my top 10 episodes.
Yep,
and a fun little more at the end of the story because it comes off. It was played well in the story, but playing around with things you're not familiar with or things you're not supposed to touch or mess around with. It was a good little lesson thrown in here as well. And so this is an episode that shows why I like Orko. If Orko is written properly, he's the most lovable character in the entire series, and this is a prime example of Orko being written perfectly.
Sure, because I know that, of course, they want to write them in there as something for kids to calm down, relax, have a little fun. But I always wanted, as I told you, a strong, heroic magic user for Masters, for the good guys, the heroic warriors, to be out. Like, we know the sorceress has a lot of magic, but she's, stuck in Castle Grayskull. So with Orko, I thought, damn, it'd be so cool if he could be doing a lot of spells and things, but unfortunately we're stuck with buckets of water and eggs and goofy stuff and magic messing up. It's like, man, I wish they wouldn't have hammed that up so much and gave more of Orko that could have been like this, to where he can be competent and can do stuff if given the proper opportunity. Just like obviously you've seen with Montauk. Montauk did all.
like Douglas Booth, who wrote this, he also wrote Disappearing Act, which is another episode that I enjoy that's never appreciated. And Orko's written quite well in that, where he inadvertently causes the Power Sword to be sent back to what we could consider pre-Eternia. And he's got to go back and get it with Cringer. And they're just written well in as a likable little duo. But he gets Orko. He doesn't write Orko as an idiot or as an obnoxious cliche 80s sidekick character. He's like, he's like, you know what? He likes to write these magical characters quite well. Boy, I love to talk.
Funny? I don't know if we've ever done, but I mean, maybe that could even be next week or a future episode where we could do a character profile on Orko, because Orko, unfortunately, does get people want to compare him, saying he's as worthless as Scrappy Doo and Snarf, and they're like sidekick characters. And I never thought Snarf was annoying either. I love Snarf, but
I will say I can see why people might find Snarf irritating. But I love that character. I always have. But I'm like, no, I do not see any justifiable logic behind people slamming the character other than they're lazy and want to just say what other cliche 80s fans of cartoons have to say without actually sitting down and watching these episodes and doing their research and just claiming, oh, well, everybody else on social media says it, so I'm going to say it too because I'm too lazy to do my research and watch the cartoon.
Yeah, we're gonna cover him maybe next week or the week after, but we're gonna bring up Orko. So, but before we wrap it up, and before like I said, I think everybody in the chat room, JSP just wanted to know if we've done our trial run on Beyond Retro yet. Not yet. I think, like I said, it'll be coming up this week. Our trial run might just be the next episode, but
so we couldn't do the trial today, and we'll answer that.
Nathan's got to get well.
Better.
Yeah, Nathan's got to get well first. We'll make sure he's all right with this flu that's passing around through the entire United States. So, like I said, it's making its rounds. But, again, thank you, everybody in the chat room. But I'm going to pass it off to Tyler in case he has any shout-outs or if he's got anything he wants to say before we wrap it up.
Not in particular. I kind of feel like I've run out of recommendations. I don't really stop to think about recommendations anymore. I will say, go check out He-Man.org, for... You want to see more about the dinosaurs and stuff like that, you can check out the box art on that website as well. They've got scans of Bionatops and T-Rex and Turbodactyl. You can see the box art and the backs of them and stuff like that. Check out Joe's Customs. Check out Axel's artwork. Check out Kevin Sharp's artwork. And don't have anything on the mini comic stuff with Carson because Carson's been missing in action now for over a month. I have not heard a single word from him.
Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah, I hope he's all right too. I haven't seen. I sent him a message because King Adam, who won the contest a couple weeks ago for the Leech mini comic, had purchased a copy from Carson a while back. Hadn't heard anything and received anything, so I contacted Carson. Still haven't heard anything back, but I sent King Adam his copy of the mini comic, so hopefully he's got it by now.
Well, it's funny you say that you're talking about the mini comics because just now in the chat room, JSP said who won last week's mini comic contest. Did anybody win that? Did they get it?
I don't think so, and I'll have to double check. But if for some reason, just in case, I was looking for Drizdos, which is what Man at Arms says is like the city of Drizdos is on the other side of this forest. That's what I was referring to. So if I'll have to go and double check. I don't think I'll double check. But Drizdos.
Okay, I was gonna say I just remembered what I wanted to ask. Any update with your mom and the rocks? Does she have any rocks done? Any new rocks to show? Anything that for a giveaway? Anything special? Or has she maybe been a little busy? Because we understand that.
Busy mainly because my nephew's birthday was yesterday, so I've been preparing for all that stuff, and I thought she would kind of. I was trying to think what happened last weekend that would have kept her from. And she's doing more painting. I guess she just got sidetracked and she's painted more rocks. So I have to blame myself for not staying on it because I told her about it that we were going to do a giveaway on the podcast. Joe wants one too. So now that my nephew's birthday is over with and done, and that's behind us now, I will be seeing her Tuesday, and I'll hammer her about, look, we need a He-Man rock. We need to rock on the podcast here. So,
yeah. We'll keep everybody posted. Maybe if things work out good, maybe this Sunday, next Sunday. Maybe there'll be a rock that we'll have, and it'll be ready for a giveaway. So, okay, well, I want to do what I always. Yeah, Well, first, let me say I want to thank everybody that was in the chat room for all your comments. And again, hope you appreciate and enjoyed the episode. And like I said, we appreciate having you. All the comments, I tried to get to at least everything that you guys are saying. But, again, we'll get rambling. I might not get every comment, but I sure as heck made sure to acknowledge all of you because, hey, we appreciate you being here and hope you enjoy this a lot. So, now let me say what I always say. Power.com. Go to popculturenetwork.com. Go to hemanworld.com. And on Facebook, go to Masters of the Universe He-Man and She-Ra Ultimate Fan Group. All great places. All great people. So until next time, have a powerful day.
I'd like to, but he's out there right now, and I've got to go to work.
Say it one more time. I'm going to get this.
All right. I'd like to, but he's out there right now, and I've got to go to work.
Dang it. Well, nope, I'm going to fail. I fail like always.
Okay.
Dang.
Michael Keaton, Batman 1989.
Huh. Who did he say that to?
Vicky Vale.
Oh.
In the Batcave.
Oh.
Which helps solidify why Christian Bale's Batman sucks. Christian Bale's Batman is like, I'll stop being Batman if you be my girlfriend. Whereas the beautiful Kim Basinger saying she wants to love Bruce Wayne. She's like, I'd like to, but he's out there right now, and I've got to go to work. Boom! Tells you people that he's not going to quit being Batman for a woman. I'd love Kim Basinger too, but single he rejects it and says, I can't do that. I got to go stop the Joker. Tells everybody that Michael Keaton's Batman is the greatest Batman and will never ever be topped by anybody that comes. Ever again.
We will definitely discuss that on a future episode of Beyond Retro. And just to let you know, JSP got that. He got that in the chat room. So good job, JSP.
Definitely. Fantastic. I'm so glad. I don't know. Somebody got it.
All right. Well, again, thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week.
All right.